we're going to start this morning class in Virasana, hero's pose otherwise. And you can use a block or bricks to make the height of the floor suitable for you. We're going to try and roll those thighs in. Have the feet wider than the hips and the toes pointing out. So there's a big stretch through these ankle fronts here. It's a big stretch into the knee joints. You're going to feel your thighs. Saying hello to you a little bit, as well as your calves. And it takes about 45 seconds for the intensity of moving into the pose for some of us who are a little bit tighter to dissipate. So generally, by the time we get to a minute, it's starting to get a little bit more tolerable. And then we can just place the hands. We're going to take the right hand and put that into the left, palm facing up, the thumbs forwards. So not linking the fingers, they're just cradling on top of each other. And letting the shoulders roll back and sitting up nice and tall. And focusing on my breath for a little bit. Begin to gently roll those shoulders around. I'm going to take them backwards and down, and then let them come forwards, slowly move up. So I'm working very slowly. I am artificially lengthening the breath out by doing that. So trying to breathe in on the way up. And rolling back and getting a little bit of flexion into sort of upper and middle back as well. Get feeling that in the little lower back as well, just a touch. But the movement is more sort of mid-upper. We'll take it a couple of times around the opposite way. Just feel how the muscles across the collarbones into the pectorals, around the shoulders are all working together. And then we'll just shake that out a little bit and let ourselves lift up. So we're going to use the fingers, hopefully, and take the block out to the side and allow ourselves to slowly stretch out one leg at a time. Just to get the leg to feel like it's come back to life. And then once they arrive, I'm going to bring myself into a nice strong tabletop, just pushing the hands into the floor so the belly's drawn a little bit and widening the back of the shoulders. Tucking the toes of the right foot underneath again, pressing into the left shin, bringing the foot up and allowing that leg to bend at the knee. Take the left hand out forwards and then looking at the fingertips, sweep that around into the twist to take hold of that with the foot. And just press it away gently, trying to keep the knee roughly the same height as the hip, which can be a little bit of a guess. And also trying to think about keeping the hips and the pubic bone over the center line of the mat, which, bear in mind, you're facing the long side of the mat and the chest is open. It is a little bit tricky to find. But we do our best to not lean into that hip out to the side. We kind of bring it back more over towards the right. And release, lengthen out, square the body up, bring the hands back down to the floor. And just take it out to the second side. So the left leg goes back, lifts, bend the knee, right arm comes out, swing around, find the foot, say hello as you look at it, then press away and open up. Again, try and bring the pubic bone towards the center line. The body's twist, the hips are square. Lengthen everything out again. Square ourselves to the floor and then bring the hands down to the ground. We'll take cat-cow, just a few rounds, drawing the chest forwards, rolling the shoulders back, tilting the tailbone, and rolling the spine up towards the sky. Inhaling through, exhaling out. And we'll take down dog. So we're going to tuck the toes underneath, lift the knees away from the floor, press the hips back and up, and then just open the stance of the down dog out a little bit to feel like it's more appropriate to your body. So some of us have got long legs and short arms, and the other way around. So our down dog's going to look a little different. Hopefully that's still roughly the same. And try and keep the hands flat to the floor. Just roll the armpits into the ground a little bit. And try to press your heels gently towards the back of the mat. So you feel the muscle around the front of the shin start to engage and lift as well as the thighs. Just enjoying this long stretch. And now first down dog. And slowly come forwards. Bring the knees down to the floor. So we're going to take child's pose, narrow version. The knees more or less together. See if we can bring the forehead to the ground. And take the hands towards your toes. Breathing deliberately into the lower part of your belly. So you feel your spine stretch with your diaphragm movements. So the hands forward, so lift up. ourselves into down dog again. Tucking the toes underneath, lifting gently. And we're going to scissor the right leg to the sky. Bring the foot down. And scissor the left. And come down again. So we're going to scissor the right. And then once you get as high as you can, release you have to bend your knee to bring the heel in towards your butt. And then take the knee as far out to the side into a big circle as you can. And then extend the knee down the central line and the leg back up towards the sky. So you come back into the scissor. And then bring the foot down to the floor. We'll do the same on the opposite side. We'll slowly that left leg high, scissor. Then the knee out to the side, underneath, along the central line and up to the sky, and scissor back out again. And bring the foot down to the floor. Take the right leg to the sky, scissor. Draw the knee, bend the knee, and then draw the knee in towards the chest this time. And then take the knee out to the side and back into the position in there and extend the leg out into the scissors. So we've gone both ways with hip rotation. We'll take the left leg high, scissor. Bend the knee, draw it into the body, a little squeeze, now down dog. Take it out to the side and high. Try and keep the shoulders stable, roll it round. Extend the leg out, scissor again. Bring the foot all the way to the floor. Lovely. Take a little breath from there. We'll let ourselves walk the hands towards the toes and come into the back of the mat. Take a little breath from there. Just let ourselves hang down over the thighs. Fingertips on the floor. So although we're gradually letting the body hang over the hips, we are trying to keep a little bit of softness in the knees as well. Now bring hands onto the shins, come up halfway, lengthen the body forwards, keeping the belly drawn in. Slide the hands down the shins, just observing the weight in the feet, trying to keep it even as we move. We'll come back up onto the shins, let the legs straighten out a little more, and down we go. We'll walk the fingers towards the front of the mat. So coming back into down dog, but we're going to lift up onto the tippy toes and then take some small steps, keeping the feet hip distance apart, right up on the tips of the toes as much as we can, the balls of the feet. Legs straight, walking the feet in towards the hands. Let's see if we can come right into the front of the mat. Take a little breath, bring the hands onto the hips, soften the knees and the flat back to lift. Take the hands high and wide, breathe in. Begin to get a little bit of a back bend and bring the hands through the heart. Hinge over the hips, drawing the bellies in, lifting the thighs, weight into the toes. Fingers come down. Take a breath and take the right foot to the back of the mat. And allow ourselves to come into a lunge. You're going to walk your left hand out a little bit so that you can walk your left foot out a little bit as well. So we only need like 1 inch to 2 inches, something like that. The reason is that a lot of people, when they come into lunge, their foot drifts a little more into the center line. So we're taking a sort of a wider stance. We want to try and be sort of towards the width of your shoulders. If you can imagine the center line to your foot position. Now take a little breath from there. Allow ourselves to bring the hands onto the front thigh and lift ourselves up into a high crescent. So we want to try and maintain that 90-degree loading on the front leg. We're going to square the hips towards the front of the mat. Generally, this back hip has to move forwards a little bit, and the front hip moves back a little bit, and then press out through the back leg to get the leg as straight as we can. And then we'll take the hands high and try and lift the ribs up towards the sky. So just moving that foot an inch or two to the side can make the high crescent feel very different. Bring the hands down to the floor, back into our lunge. Take a little breath. Stand back into our down dog. Take a little breath up onto the tippy toes. Take a second walk in to the front of the mat. Tiny little steps up on the tippy toes, loading the weight over the shoulders, getting the feet quite close into the front of the mat before we waddle. The feet flat to the floor, hands onto the hips, and we lift up. Take hands forwards this time. Little back bend. Hands into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Into our lunge. We take the left leg back. Walk the right foot out a little bit. Take a moment for that to kind of be recognized by the nervous system. So intellectually, you've gone, yeah, I've moved my foot out to the side, but it takes a little while for your body to catch up with this sort of natural sense of balance and rhythm, and understanding that, okay, the foot's out there, so the muscles are going to work slightly differently. You can take the hands onto the front thigh again to help with the lift. Tailbone tucks down towards the floor a little bit, hands out to the side. We're drawing forwards and up. Lift the rib cage to the sky. Square the hips and press out through that back leg. So you might feel it a little more in the inner thigh on the back leg as well. That hip flexor might take the load a bit differently. Bring hands gently down to the floor. And this time we'll step to the forward bend at the front of the mat. Bring hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift up, flat backish. Hands forward and a little side, back bend. Hands through the heart. So the arms wide and up to the sky. Interlace the fingers, side bend over to your left. Come back into the center. Side bend to your right. Back into the center, hands into the heart. Exhale your way down to the floor. We'll take a fingertip lift to half forward fold. Folding in a little deeper on the exhale. Put the right foot to the back of the mat. Drop the heel in, ready for warrior two. Bring hands alongside the body. Take the right hand forwards and lift up. Take a breath. Hands into the heart, down to the floor we go. We'll step back to down dog. Couple of breaths here. That sense of lifting the tailbone up and back. And coming forwards into plank. Let the knees come to the floor, then the elbows back. Going to come into a half plank, turn the toes down, press into the shins to come into up dog. Lift the knees gently away from the floor. And roll over the toes and back to our down dog. Scissor the right leg. Draw the knee in towards the chest. Bring the foot through. Front of the mat for the lunge. Take a breath. So we really take time to absorb the lunge in the body. And use the exhale to come forwards. Hands onto the hips, soft knees, flat backs, lift. Hands forwards, little standing back bend. Through the heart. Split the arms out wide. Side bend left. Back into the center. Breathe in. Over to the right. Exhale it out. Inhale to the center. Hands into the heart. Uttanasana. Hatha. Uttanasana. Fold it down. Left leg back. Warrior two. Hands alongside the body. Dynamic lifts. Left arm comes forwards and we lift up. Hands into the heart as we breathe in and down to the floor we go. Step it back to our down dog. Long breaths here, just lifting those hips up high and back. Pressing the hands into the floor. I've got that kind of winter bunged up nose thing going on. I'm having to breathe in through the mouth and out through the mouth. So I apologize if that's disturbing. It's not necessary for you to breathe in the same way. We'll take us forwards into a plank. Let the knees come to the floor. Untuck the toes as we press into the shins. Bend the elbows back into half plank. Press into the shins to lift into your up dog, lifting the knees away from the floor. Roll over the toes and back into your down dog. Sizzle that left leg high. Pulling in towards the chest. Bring it through for the lunge. Take a breath here. Step it forwards. At the final fold. Hands onto the hips and lift up. Hands forwards again. Inhale, little standing back bend. And through the heart. Out wide. Interlace the hands. Side bend to the left. Stretch those fingers. Come back to the center. Lengthen those fingers away again over to the right. Come back into the center. Hands into the heart. Exhaling down to the floor. Half forward fold. Fold it in. Right foot back. Take a little breath. Warrior two for the lift. Hands alongside the body. Cartwheel the right arm forwards to lift up. Now this time I'm going to take the hands high above the shoulders. Rotate the chest and the hips. Spin the back heel into that high crescent. We'll take a little breath from here. Allow the back knee to come almost to the ground. So we dip and we lift. And we're going to see if we can come up to a straight leg and all the way back down again. So just be careful that you don't overextend the front leg and jam into the knee. The muscles will do enough work just lifting this up gently. We'll take it slowly. This will certainly get the blood pumping. Whew. Test the balance through the feet. Last time coming up. Down we go. Whew. All the way to the floor. Step it back into a down dog. Couple of breaths here, lifting up and back. So we'll take the plank, coming forwards on the breath, half plank to up dog. You can lower the knees again if you wish, but otherwise, more traditional version. Rolling over the toes back into dog. So the right leg on the breath in, bring the knee in through the chest and to the lunge. Take a breath here at the front of the mat and step it into the fold. Hands over the hips again, we lift up. We just repeat that to the second side. Hands forwards again. Tiny back bend. Hands into the heart. Float the arms wide. Interlace, lengthen out to the left. To the center. Lengthen out to the right. Center it up. Hands through the heart. Exhale it down. Forward fold. Fold it in. Left leg back. Drop the heel in. Warrior two. As you arrive, hands come high, you rotate gently in the back foot. Take a moment, find a balance, get a nice long body, get that tailbone tucked underneath a little bit. And then slowly, knee just above the ground, straight front leg if we can. 2. 3. Trying to keep the front knee over the ankle. 4. 5. Soften the front knee, hands to the floor, down dog. And plank, half plank up dog. Center the left leg, knee into the chest, lunge, breath here. Step it forwards, hands onto the hips, and we lift up. Hands through to the front of the mat, standy back bend, hands into the heart. Hands wide, side bend left, side bend right. For the sides, lift as you lean out. Into the center, hands through the heart. Exhale to the floor. Right leg back, lunge. Take a little breath from here. Warrior 2. So right arm forwards for the dynamic lift. Now we take a little breath, lengthen out over that front thigh. Forearm down. You take the top arm up into the side angle, lengthen out. Come back to warrior 2. Lift the front heel off the ground. Place it back to the floor. Lift it. And press it back. Now, as you're doing the lift, then make sure that this back leg stays pressing firmly down. It can tend to sort of get a bit loose and we load into the front leg. Try and emphasize in your mind a connection to your back leg. There we go. The hands in towards the heart. We'll come hands down onto this inside of the front leg. We'll spin the back heel and then drop the back knee. Allow ourselves to open up into a little twist. Bring the hands back down to the floor. Lift the back knee. Walk the fingers around. Long side of the mat. Turn the toes in. Lengthen the bottom. Even the weight through the feet. And then fold gently. Squeeze the elbows in a little. Just tailbone high. Press the feet down. Get the back of the neck relaxed. Remember, this is a fold from the hips, not from your head. And then we'll lift up slowly and bring it back to the front of the mat, into the lunge. Take a little breath. Step it into that forward bend. One breath here, settle in nice and deep. Bring the hands under the hips. Soften the knees and we lift. Hands forwards. Little back bend. Exhale. Hands through the heart. Inhale it up. Over to the left, exhale. Breath into center. Over to the right. Inhale it back up. Hands through the heart. the hips down to the floor. Left leg back, ready for our warrior twos. Hands alongside the body and we lift. Extend out again. Forearm onto that front thigh. Take the top arm up and over. Extend the side angle, roll the chest up towards the sky. Bring ourselves back into our warrior two. Lift the front heel, connect to the back leg, press it down. Inhale it up, press it down. Inhale it up, press it down. Two more. Last one. Bring hands into the heart, down to the ground on the inside of this front leg. We spin the back heel, drop the knee. Allow ourselves to take the twist. Right arm lifts up, rotate. Bring the hand back onto the inside of the front leg as we lift the back knee and walk the hands around to that long side of the mat again. Turn the toes in. Keep the body long. Soften the knees just a tiny micro bubble. And then bring the hands behind the back. Interlace your fingers. Pull the shoulders back. Squeeze them together. Allow yourself to fold gently over the hips. Watch the balance in the legs. And then start to draw the hands over towards your head and down towards the ground. Now you do actually want to try and keep the shoulders squeezed together and drawn away from your ears, so it gives you more space to work into. And we'll slowly bring the hands down to the floor. Walk the fingers around to the front end of the mat. Take a little breath and let ourselves step into that forward bend. Fold it in deep. Bring hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift up. Take standing back bends and side bends again. Into the heart. So we'll take mountain pose, just to let those legs simulate the work that we've done. Just put the toes out a little bit, draw the tailbone down, belly in just a fraction. We'll just shake that out a little bit. I'll take a breath from here. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Allow yourself to exhale down to the floor. Take a breath here. Step it back into down dog and into a plank. Press out through the heels. Keep those hips high. Push the hands into the floor. So we're raising the chest away from the ground a little bit and feeling a little bit more value in the lift in the plank in terms of the abdominal muscles and the lower back kind of working in combination with each other. So when you realize that 30 seconds is actually quite a long time. And pressing out through those heels, you should be able to feel the thigh muscles, the front of the legs lifting a little bit, drawing in. And then it's time to let the knees down to the floor. We'll swing the toes out to the side. and then allow ourselves to sit forwards into Dandasana. I'm just going to wriggle through the seat and spine a little bit. Get those sitting bones down onto the floor, hands by the side. So toes come back towards me. Sit up nice and tall and roll the shoulders back. Try and get the spine into a nice long line. So there should be a feeling of a little bit of work through the abdominal muscles in towards the spine, and the tilting of the pelvis forwards so that you're not rounding into the lower back. That's what we're looking for. Now, some people will find that position is their natural position, but if you're like me, a little bit short in the hamstring department, you have to kind of work on it a bit more, which is good. This is something to focus on. Okay, take a little breath from there. Just take the hands behind a little bit. And try and keep the length in the body that you just built. So the shoulders roll back a little bit. We'll slide the left leg in and across, and then allow that knee to drop down towards the ground as we flex the foot. So we've got this kind of upside down number 4 looking at us in the leg department. We'll slide the right leg in. See if we can maintain that length in the body. And you're going to get a bigger stretch into the outside of this hip as you're trying to send your left knee forwards towards the front of the mat. Now, arguably, some people are going to find that easy on the hip. They've got nice big open joints, the muscles are not tight, or they're much more elastic in that position, and they can draw the foot in much closer. So if you're finding that the easiest way to do that is to lift your bottom off the ground a little bit more and shuffle yourself forwards, and then reset the hands again and lengthen the body out. But if you're finding that enough of a stretch in the hip, you just stay where you are. And some days I can get very close today. I can feel a lot of going on in that hip. It's been working quite hard last few days, so I don't need to overwork it. Just because I've done it before doesn't mean I have to do it again. And slowly untangle that. Sit back up nice and tall, get the legs together, roll the thighs in again, sitting bones down, tilt the pelvis forwards, shoulders back, nice long line, back in Dandasana. Yes, it is a pose. And we'll slide the hands back, try and maintain the length, right leg comes in, folds over, knee goes down, we keep the foot flexed. When we feel ready, I'll bring the leg in on the opposite side. And again, you can adjust closer in if you have that available to you today. And pressing down through the hands. I'm trying to lengthen the body out of the pelvis. Pressing the shoulders down to help with assist with the hand pressing. And it's time to release. Whew. Legs back out. I'm going to cross the ankles over, draw the knees in, tuck the feet underneath, hands come forward, so we roll up into our down dog. I'll take a little breath from there. I'm going to allow myself to walk the feet in towards the front of the mat. And we're going to come into the Warrior 3. Now I'm going to use bricks on the floor out in front of me. You could have the fingertips on the ground. You could have the bricks high as well. It kind of depends on the length of your body. But we want to try and get a nice long flat back. Now ideally, the higher you can get your body from the floor, the more of a right angle that you can build into your body. And you want those hands to be right underneath your shoulders. I'm going to soften the knees just a little bit. My feet are hip distance apart and parallel to each other. I'm going to load into the left and slide the right foot back till I run out of the toes. And I'm still trying to keep the shoulders over the bricks. And then I'm going to carefully start to lift that right leg away from the floor. I'm trying to get that to be a right angle to my body and keep the hips square and the pubic bone over the center line. Now, the reason I want to keep the hips square is that it just allows me to maintain the balance through the muscles rather than the joints quite so much, or certainly in a different way. I want to avoid the lifted leg rolling out to the side or twisting in any way. I want it to go down the center line of the mat. So if the fingertips are still on the floor, or if hands are on the blocks, got a few more breaths here. That front thigh is definitely knowing that it's doing some work. We're trying to press out through the back heel with an equal amount of effort. So it feels like both legs are doing the work rather than just one. And then we'll soften the front knee and bring the foot gently back down to the floor and line it up parallel again. Same position you started previously. So you can let yourself have a little look around, make sure you're happy. And then when you're ready, we'll soften the knees just that fraction, a little micro bend. And we slide the foot back. And you might notice that you kind of lean into your hip as soon as you do that. That's where you want to try and bring the pubic bone back onto the center line and then take the lift of the leg. It's much easier to do that when you're on the ground than it is when you're in the air. Again, we try and lift the body up a little bit. You could even come up onto the knuckles on top of the bricks if you wanted to get a little higher. Depends on how long your arms and your legs are. You can even come up onto the fingertips. Get really beautifully long. Strangely enough, the flatter you get to the ground with your body, the easier it is for the body and the pose. But it takes confidence to get that sort of 9 inches off of the ground with your fingertips and the leg lifted. Almost there. Okay, soften the front knee, bring the foot down again, bring the heel to the floor, and we'll move the bricks out of the way. Don't need them anymore. They have done their job. Take a forward bend. Just those legs feel like they're starting to even out. You might even want to give them a little bit of a rub. I really do love them, even though you're making them work hard. And finally, bring your hands onto your hips, soften the knees, and let yourself lift. So I'm going to step kind of more towards the middle of the mat. Feet are still hip distance apart, hands in towards the heart. And I'll soften the knees over the toes and try and keep the spine nice and long. I'm going to load the weight into the right foot. I'm going to lift the left knee and come into eagle pose. So I'm going to roll that around. See how close I can get to getting the foot hooked around the back of the calf. Allow the arms to come out wide. And then I'm going to take the left arm across, right arm over the top. Bring the palms together. And then I'm going to release the arms, untangle the legs, draw the heel in towards the butt, keep the arms out wide, lean forwards, press your back heel away to a straight leg, and allow yourself to straighten the leg as much as you dare. You can take the hands forwards if you wish. I just run out of room physically in the room a little bit if I do that. We'll bring the hands back towards the heart, soften the front knee, drop the back toe to the floor so we come into almost a high crescent, and then just slide the toes along the floor, and we're back in. But perhaps I should have mentioned, eagle into warrior 3. But you got the hang of it now. Then we take the feet hip distance apart, hands coming towards the heart, we soften the knees over the toes. We sit back into our chair. Load into the left leg, right knee comes up, crosses over. and wrap around. Take the arms out wide. Square ourselves up to the front of the mat. Right arm comes across. Left arm up. Come into the pose. Take one breath. Second breath. Release the arms out. Untangle the legs. Hook the heel into the butt. Lean forward. You slowly take your leg out to the back of the mat. Take the arms forward if you have room. Keep those hips square. Toe on the back foot points to the floor. Straightening that front leg as much as you can. And soften the front knee. Back toe comes down. And step it back in to our standing pose. Hands to the groin, join together. Little back bend. Into the heart. Out to the sides with the arms. Over to the left. To the center. Over to the right. Back into the center. Hands into the heart. Ease our way down to the floor. Whew. Fingertips into the front of the mat. Step ourselves back into our down dog. And then forwards. Whew. Into plank and down onto the knees. We'll take the flat block and just place that behind the toes. Going to come up into Malasana, yogi squat. Tucking the toes under, finding the corner edges with the heels as I sit back. Allow myself to just roll the toes out to the side and the knees widen a little bit. And then we'll bring the hands in towards the heart. So traditional version, we're going to press those arms to legs, legs to arms. Draw the hands into the heart to draw the shoulders back. Kind of lift the body up out of the pelvis, draw the belly in a little bit. Now I'm going to take this into the twist as well. So I'm going to try and keep the legs in position. So I'm going to, in the meantime, brace that left arm and elbow together. Extend the right hand out, and you see that's a few inches off the floor. So I'm going to lean out, a little bit of a side bend to bring the palms to the ground. So now the back of the arm and the leg are working together. And I can open up the left hand out to the sky, twisting, just following the line of the body. So basically those two hands are now in line with each other, following the line of the chest, looking towards the back hand. Still trying to open the groins out. Bring the hands back, hands together. Little chance to reset, so we'll get length in the body. Press the right arm and leg together as the left hand goes out. Lean it out to the side a little bit, find the floor, get a nice hook, and then open up into that rear hand. Try and be soft across the shoulders. Keep the groins opening. Bring the hands back onto the ground. And then just take the hands behind. And then it's not too much of a jump to be in a seated position. Just lengthening the legs out, give those hip flexors a little bit of a rub. And then we'll take it into a seated twist as well. So we're going to draw the left leg under and out to the side, right leg across. We want to try and relax the bottom leg a little bit as we tilt the pelvis forwards. If you can, this front foot flat to the ground, knee high. And we'll take the left arm off and roll it over towards the right side. Making sure that it feels like we got an equal amount of weight for each sitting bone. releasing. We'll take it into the second side. And we can release from there as well. Take both legs out in front, down the center line of the mat, roll the sides in a little bit, sit up nice and tall. And then we'll bring the right heel into the groin for Janu Shasana. So just hooking the heel into the thigh, foot stays flexed, knee or to the floor or a brick to support underneath. We roll the front thigh in as we lean over the front thigh a little bit. Put a tiny bend into the knee, keep the foot flexed. And then let ourselves draw the chest forwards. And lift ourselves up and take it into the second side. Square the hips up, press the shin down, little bend in the front knee, toes towards the sky. Fold gently over. Remember the foot underneath in the groin is flexed, so toes are towards the knee a little. Draw chest forwards, belly in. Lift out of there as well. We'll come down to the floor. And just take a moment for some twists here. So chin in towards the body, elbows down to the ground to start with. Draw the abdominal muscles in so you can peel your spine to the ground. So come in nice and slow and easy on that spine. Bring the heels in towards the body and take the arms out in line with the chest, palms up. We'll shimmy the hips gently over to the left. Let the legs roll down to the right. Let everything relax down. And we'll lift the knees back. And we'll shimmy to the right, legs to the left. Shoulders hopefully still on the ground. And very relaxed legs. Ease that back into the center. Realign the spine. Put any extra layers on that you need. And then slide your heels gently out. Corner edges of the mat. Bring the hands a little more alongside the body. Palms facing out the center so you can get a little heat to move out of the armpits and roll the shoulder blades down to the floor. And try to let the body sink into the ground, particularly that lower back. So stretch those fingers and toes. And the wrists and the ankles to join in. And very soft and low key, we'll stretch out on the exhale. Whatever feels good, just follow your instincts. And then carefully slide the heels along the ground towards you. So again, you minimize the disruption to your nervous system. Let the knees come in towards your body. Slide, a little hug, or some circles, whatever feels good. Right side. Take the breath in, roll the chest to the ground, and then use the hands on the exhale. So that way back up from the floor. Come into seated postures. Sitting tall, we can bring the hands in towards the heart. Closing the eyes, gently starting to exhale, letting the chin drop. Finding the belly draw to the spine. We simply bow to the floor to seal our practice. And as the breath comes back in, lift the spine, lift the head, open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. Fairly classic class, but using the opportunity to work to our maximum whilst we're in the poses. Hope you enjoy. See you on the mat again soon.